Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into the sandals of a young recruit in the mighty Roman legion. Just as the drums of war begin to sound for the Dacian Wars of 105 AD, you're not quite sure what you've gotten yourself into, but here you are, standing at the edge of a journey that could change your life. The heat of the Mediterranean sun beats down. The ground beneath your sandals is dusty, and your heart is racing with a mix of excitement and terror. Sure, it's a great honor to serve the Empire, but, well, you probably won't survive this. Not in one piece, at least. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and local time in the comments. It's always nice to know who's joining me on these late night journeys. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease in to tonight's journey together. You find yourself on the edge of something far bigger than you, far more dangerous and exhilarating than your simple village life. In front of you, a Roman recruiter holds a sharp gladius, its blade gleaming under the sun. The sound of marching soldiers fills the air, each step an echo of history. You're not alone around you. Other men of all ages have signed up to serve Rome. They all look terrified, but you, like them, are eager to prove yourself. You're going to be a part of something much greater than you ever imagined. And while you won't be the first to die in battle, you won't be the last either. This, your new life, will be one of constant discipline, enduring hardships, and mastering combat in ways you never thought possible. As you take a deep breath and step forward, leaving behind your family and familiar faces, you can't help but wonder what awaits you on the other side of this new, terrifying world. The journey begins. You march off toward the training camp, the clanging of your sandals on the stone road blending with the chatter of the other recruits. The camp is somewhere ahead, a place where, in the next few weeks, your life will shift from boy to soldier. You might have imagined it differently, perhaps, as some grand, heroic scene, but in reality, it's a dirty, grueling walk under the hot sun with no shade in sight. As the landscape blurs into a desert of dust and heat, you try to ignore the gnawing hunger in your stomach. You have no idea what the training camp will be like, but you know this. You won't be pampered. Forget soft beds, cozy tents, or fancy meals. The Legion is about survival, and survival doesn't care if you've never lifted a sword in your life. The farther you march, the more it hits you this is real. There's no turning back now. The journey is long, and you begin to understand the sheer scale of the Roman war machine. You march alongside thousands of men strong, tough, and weary, but you know you'll need to become like them if you're to survive. It's not just about muscle, either. The discipline of the Roman army is renowned. You're going to be shaped by it. You'll be taught to follow orders, to endure hardship, and, above all, to never question the Legion's goals. There's one thing that doesn't escape your attention as you move: the sounds, the constant clinking of equipment, the rhythmic steps of the soldiers, and the occasional shout of a sergeant calling for order. It's all around you, filling your senses, forming a cacophony of military life. By the time you reach the camp, your legs are sore, your feet are blistered, and your thoughts are a whirl of confusion. But at least you're here. This is where you'll learn everything you need to know. As you finally catch a glimpse of the camp, you notice the training grounds, the rows of tents, and the disciplined movements of the soldiers who've been here longer than you. They all look different. There's a certain edge to them, a sharpness in their eyes, a confidence that comes with experience. You can't help but wonder, will you ever look like that? But there's no time to daydream. The camp is about to open its gates to you, and the second you step inside, you'll be subjected to an entirely new world. Training will begin, and there will be no easy days here. You've signed up for the Roman army, and now you'll become part of its relentless, unforgiving machine. You finally step through the gates of the training camp, and a flood of new sights, sounds, and smells hits you all at once. The air smells of sweat, leather, and dust, lots of dust. The camp is a chaotic mix of men shouting orders, blacksmiths hammering at anvils, and soldiers in various stages of training. A few large tents stand nearby, their canvas flapping in the breeze, and you catch sight of a few men preparing food over a fire. It's far from the grandiose vision you had of a well-oiled Roman machine. This is more raw. In the distance, you see a few soldiers sparring with wooden swords, their bodies slick with sweat, their movements quick and precise. Some of them are grinning, while others look completely focused, eyes locked onto their opponent with an intensity you didn't think possible. And then there are the trainers, big, burly men, looking like they could break you in half with a single gesture. They don't say much. Their stares are enough. They know what you're here for, to be shaped into a soldier, but they're also clear. This will not be easy. You're quickly assigned to a unit nothing glamorous. The name's unimportant. It's the training that matters. The sergeants bark orders as they organize you into squads. You see men of all types around you, young lads just like yourself, older men with the grim look of veterans, and even a few from faraway places who've joined the Roman legion for reasons you can only guess. Some, you suspect, have been here longer than they'll care to admit. They move with the silent, practiced grace of men who know exactly what they're doing. One sergeant, in particular, catches your eye. His face is like a slab of stone, and his body is covered in scars, each one a story of battles fought and survived. He has the air of a man who's seen it all, and that makes you uneasy. He steps forward, his eyes scanning the line of recruits, and you feel a chill run down your spine. He addresses the group, his voice low but carrying. You think you're here to become heroes, don't you? He says. Well, think again. You're here to survive. And if you can survive, you can learn to fight. If you can fight, you'll learn to conquer. But first, you'll learn to obey. You'll learn discipline. And you'll learn how to carry this empire on your shoulders. As the words sink in, you realize just how much work lies ahead. You'll learn to fight, yes, but it's not about glory or honor. It's about survival. In the Roman legion, there's no room for ego. If you're going to make it through, you'll need to shed whatever notions of grandeur you had. Your journey here has just begun, and you're starting from the bottom, just like everyone else. The sergeant's orders are swift, harsh, and unrelenting. You're thrown into your first drill, a series of basic movements with a gladius, a simple short sword designed to get the job done quickly in close combat. You're not a soldier yet. You're just a recruit, fumbling through your first few stances. Your body aches almost immediately. The training is nothing like you imagined. It's brutal. You feel the burn in your arms, your legs, your core, but you dare not stop. The sergeant's eyes are on you, and if you falter, it could mean more than just a reprimand. It could mean the end of your place in the Legion. The rhythm of practice sets in. You strike, block, retreat, and advance. Every movement is deliberate, every swing purposeful. It's like learning a new language, except this one requires your entire body. As the hours drag on, you feel your muscles begging for mercy, but you keep going. Keep repeating each motion, each step, until your mind starts to clear. This is what you'll do. This is the price of becoming a Roman soldier. The days blur together as the training intensifies. You wake at dawn, your muscles sore from the previous day's drills, but you push through. There's no room for weakness in the Roman army. The routine is punishing. Run, march, drill, repeat. Every soldier is expected to move as one, to act as if each man's life is inextricably tied to the other's. You quickly learn that you're no longer just an individual. You're a cog in the mighty war machine that is the Roman legion. You spend hours each day learning to wield your gladius, practicing its swift, deadly strikes. Every movement must be precise, every step timed perfectly. There's no room for hesitation. If your sword falters, so will your chances of survival in battle. The drills are relentless, and your body, though sore, slowly begins to adapt. There's something meditative about the repetition. The sword feels heavier now, more natural, almost like an extension of your own arm. But it's not just combat skills that are drilled into you. You spend countless hours learning the tactics that have made the Roman army one of the most formidable forces in the world. You're taught the intricacies of the testudo, the legendary shield formation that protects the legionaries from missiles, arrows, and other projectiles. It's a formation that requires perfect synchronization. When it works, it's a sight to behold. Rows of soldiers standing side by side, their shields raised, forming an impenetrable wall of wood and metal. The testudo becomes second nature as you and your fellow soldiers practice it again and again. But it's not just about the shields. Your legs must remain perfectly aligned, your footwork precise. You must rely on your comrades, knowing they're counting on you as much as you're counting on them. A single misstep in the formation, and the entire shield wall crumbles. It's a strange sort of intimacy that develops between the soldiers, each man's life intertwined with the others. You realize that, for all the brutal training, there's a strange camaraderie here. You might have entered the camp as strangers, but soon you'll all share something far deeper. Survival. Days turn into weeks, and your training continues to test you physically and mentally. You learn to march with a full kit of armor, weapons, and supplies. The weight of your gear is unrelenting, but you quickly learn to carry it as though it were a part of you. The discipline becomes second nature. Everything you do is with purpose, and every movement is practiced to perfection. It's exhausting, but as the days pass, you begin to notice small changes in yourself. The soreness becomes less intense, your stride more confident. You've started to become a soldier, but there's one part of the training that leaves you unsettled: the endurance test. It's a brutal challenge, designed to push every man to his physical limits. You're ordered to run a course, carrying all your gear, then engage in hand-to-hand combat, then march for miles under the harsh sun. Every part of your body screams for rest, but you push through because failure isn't an option. You don't dare stop when it's over. You collapse onto the ground, gasping for air, but there's a strange sense of accomplishment in that exhaustion. You've made it. You've survived. It's the first real test of your strength. and you've passed it. But you know this is only the beginning. The real trials, the real battles, are still ahead. Weeks have passed, and though your body is bruised, battered, and worn, there's an undeniable change in you. The grueling training, the endless drills, the constant pressure to succeed, it's all starting to mold you into the soldier you never thought you could be. You move with more purpose. Your feet fall into the rhythm of the marches, and your muscles now anticipate the weight of your armor as though it were always meant to be there. Your sword feels like a trusted companion rather than a foreign weapon. You've become one with your gear, and in doing so, you've taken your first steps toward becoming a true Roman legionary. It's not all easy, though every now and then you still wake up with soreness. You can't shake, your joints creaking as if they're protesting. But today, it's different. Today, you're finally going to see some real action. The sergeant calls you and the rest of the recruits into formation. The air is thick with anticipation, and a murmur of unease spreads through the ranks. You've trained for this moment, but you can't help but feel a pang of fear. This is your first real test in battle. You've read about the glorious victories of the Romans' victories that made the empire what it is today, but now it's your turn to put everything you've learned into practice. And deep down, you wonder, will you rise to the occasion, or will you fall? The order is given to move out. You begin marching in formation, the weight of your armor and weapons now more familiar than before, but your stomach tightens. The adrenaline starts to rush in, and your mind begins to race with thoughts of what could happen. It's not just the Dacians you'll be facing. It's the chaos of battle. It's the sounds, the chaos, the terror of seeing a fellow soldier fall. It's the reality of war. As the hours tick by, the landscape shifts, the rough, dusty terrain gives way to more open fields, where the earth smells of dry grass and the distant hills are just faint shadows on the horizon. The air grows heavier, charged with the tensions of what's to come. You notice a few of the veterans' older soldiers who have seen countless battles whispering to one another, their faces grim. There's a look in their eyes, an understanding that this battle will be far from ordinary. And then, the first sight of them, the Dacians, the battle is imminent. You see their warriors in the distance, armed with heavy shields and curved swords, their faces painted with symbols that seem to tell stories you can't understand. They're not like any army you've seen before. Their clothes are rough. Their weapons seem brutal and unrefined compared to the Romans. But there's something about their fierce posture, their wild energy, that sends a chill down your spine. The Dacians are more than just an obstacle. They're a living force that will test everything the Roman army stands for. The sergeant calls out your orders. Formation. Shields up. You position yourself within the Roman phalanx, the familiar shields in your left hand, gladius in your right. You feel the presence of the soldiers around you, each one like you, hoping for victory, but dreading the carnage. The air grows heavier, the murmurs of the Dacian forces louder, and then the silence, and then chaos. The battle begins with a deafening roar, the clash of metal against metal, the pounding of feet as warriors charge forward, the distant cries of the wounded. You fight, not for glory, but for survival. You hold your shield tight, and with every strike of your sword, you realize that you've stepped into a new world, one where there are no rules except to survive and push forward. The adrenaline is overwhelming, and in the midst of the chaos, it's hard to think clearly. Your movements are automatic now, a combination of everything you've learned over the past weeks. Strike, block, advance, retreat. It's the rhythm of war, and it becomes your rhythm. 2. But amidst the confusion, something happens. You find yourself standing over a fallen Dacian warrior. His sword lies in the dirt, his shield shattered. You freeze for a moment, your heart pounding in your chest. This is real. This is not a drill. You've taken a life, and though you're not sure how you feel about it, there's no time to dwell on it. The battle rages on. The clash of soldiers, the cries of men in pain, the constant battle for survival. It's nothing like you imagined. You thought it would be glorious, heroic even. Instead, it's brutal. It's about pushing forward, about holding your ground, about making it through the day, and somehow, in the chaos of battle, you do. The Romans win, of course. The Dacians retreat, but not without leaving their mark. You return to camp, exhausted, covered in sweat and grime, and with the faintest taste of victory on your tongue. The feeling is bittersweet, though you survived, but you're not the same. War changes you. You can't quite shake the images of what you saw, the fear, the blood, the realization that life isn't as simple as it once seemed. You survived your first battle, but at what cost? You spend the next few days recovering, both physically and mentally, from your first taste of real battle. The camp has fallen into a strange sort of routine. The clanging of armor, the hum of soldiers sharpening their swords, the quiet conversations around the campfires. It all feels normal now, though the echoes of your first battle still haunt you. You can't quite escape the images of that Dacian warrior you stood over, the weight of the sword in your hand, the realization that this is your new life. But you push those thoughts aside. You're still here. You've survived, and you know you're expected to keep going. There's a certain camaraderie that begins to form in the aftermath of the battle. You start talking more with the soldiers who fought beside you, learning their stories. Some of them are seasoned veterans. Others are like you, new recruits who are still figuring out how to survive. The older soldiers tell stories of battles past, of lands conquered, and of moments where the outcome was uncertain until the very last breath. It's strange, hearing them speak so casually about things you find terrifying. But they're right, this is life now. This is what being a Roman soldier means. The days pass, and soon it's time to march again. You've heard the word. The next battle will be fought in the heart of Dacia. The Dacians are not backing down. They've proven themselves to be fierce warriors, and now it's time for you to prove that the Roman army is even fiercer. The tension is palpable, but there's also a quiet sense of readiness among the men. They've seen battle, and they know what to expect. You, on the other hand, are still trying to make sense of it all. The march to Dacia is long. The land seems to stretch on forever endless hills, forests, and valleys. You march through it all, your feet sore, your body tired, but there's a strange rhythm to it now. The marching becomes easier as the days pass. You learn to ignore the aches, to ignore the hunger pangs, and focus on the task at hand. The feeling of the weight on your shoulders becomes familiar, even comforting. This is your life now. Endless marching, relentless training, and the constant anticipation of the next battle. As you approach Dacius, you begin to see the remnants of the empire's efforts to fortify the land. Roman engineers have been busy constructing camps, roads, and defenses. You're amazed by the sheer scale of it all. It's like walking through an army that's already at war, a war that's been going on long before you even enlisted. The fortifications are impressive, but you can't shake the sense that the Dacians are out there, watching, waiting. The Dacians are fierce fighters, but there's one thing you've learned about them that makes you both respect and fear them more: their ability to strike quickly and disappear. The Dacians know the land better than any Roman soldier could. Their ambush tactics are legendary, and you know the Romans will have to be extra careful when the time comes to face them again. It's a game of patience who can outlast the other. You settle in for the night in a Roman camp, your body sore from the march and the previous battle. The night is quiet, save for the sounds of the distant river and the occasional crackle of the fire. It's peaceful in a way, but you know it's only temporary. Tomorrow, the march will continue, and soon enough, the next battle will arrive. Sleep doesn't come easily that night. Every time you close your eyes, you can't help but picture the faces of the Dacians you fought against. You remember the brutal clash, the feeling of the sword in your hand, the adrenaline, the fear, and the strange sense of finality when the battle ends. You don't know what the next day will bring, but you do know one thing: this war is far from over, and each step you take, each battle you fight, is another step into a life you'll never be able to return from. In the stillness of the night, you wonder if you'll ever get used to this life. Will the fear ever leave you? Will the pain of battle ever become something you can ignore? Or will you continue to grow, to level up, like the soldiers around you? You roll over, trying to find sleep in the restless night. You're far from home, far from the life you once knew, and yet there's something about the Roman legion's steady rhythm that makes you feel oddly at peace. It's a feeling you've come to rely on, knowing that no matter how uncertain tomorrow is, the discipline, the camaraderie, and the relentless drive of the Roman army will carry you through. Tomorrow, you'll march again. Tomorrow, you'll fight again. But tonight, you rest if only for a moment. The sun rises early, casting long shadows over the camp as you wake. Groggy but well aware of the new day ahead. Your body is sore, your mind foggy, but there's no time to waste. The sergeants are already walking through the camp, shouting orders to the soldiers as they prepare for another grueling day. The march continues, and the pressure mounts with every passing mile. As your fellow legionaries gather around the campfires, you feel a renewed sense of camaraderie. This isn't just a group of men, it's a unit, and this unit is marching towards something greater than any of you could achieve alone. Today, you're tasked with reinforcing a Roman fort that's being built on the outskirts of Dacia. The camp grows larger every day. Each new structure, a sign of the empire's indomitable will to expand. The fortifications are impressive walls of timber and stone being hastily thrown up to protect the legionaries from Dacian raids. You've learned that the Dacians prefer swift attacks, but what they don't anticipate is the immensity of Roman engineering. Every day, the Roman legions build faster, stronger, and more strategically than their enemies could hope to. But as you and your comrades gather your tools and begin the day's labor, you're reminded of the other side of war, the endless work that goes into sustaining an empire. You're not always on the front lines. There are moments like this when you dig trenches, carry heavy timber, and endure the sweat and sun for the sake of defense. There's no glory in this, but it's all part of the process. You're contributing to something much larger than yourself, and it's these long days of hard labor that often make you wonder how the Empire can keep up its pace. As the sun climbs higher, the exhaustion sets in, but you push through. After all, the Dacians are relentless, and if they come, they'll be met with the full force of the Roman army. Fortifications aren't just structures, they're the physical representation of the empire's will to dominate. You know that if the Romans can't hold the fort, all of this will have been for nothing. But there's something else that strikes you as you build and dig. The Dacians. They're not just some barbaric tribe to be crushed. They have a history, a culture, and a way of life that makes them formidable. They've lived in these lands for centuries, and they know the lay of the land better than any Roman soldier could. You start to respect them. Despite yourself, the Dacians are fierce. They've already shown their ability to outmaneuver the Roman legions in the past. One thing you've learned in this campaign is that the Dacians won't just lie down. Every inch of ground you take will be met with fierce resistance. The legends of their king, Decebalus, are not just stories. They are the foundation of a warrior culture that has withstood countless invaders. The Romans might be superior in terms of organization and discipline, but when it comes to heart and determination, the Dacians are a force to be reckoned with. You can feel the tension rising as the construction of the fort continues. It's not just about bricks and mortar, it's about survival. Later that day, you receive your orders. The fort is to be completed by nightfall, and you, along with a handful of others, are assigned the task of scouting the area for any signs of Dacian activity. The air is thick with anticipation. As you move through the thick forest, your eyes constantly scan for any movement, your heart beating louder than the whispering winds in the trees. The tension is almost unbearable, and your senses are heightened. Every crack of a branch, every rustle of leaves makes you jump, your hand instinctively tightening around the hilt of your sword. The Dacians are out there. You can feel it. You begin to understand what it means to be in constant peril. The Romans may have the numbers, the discipline, and the resources, but in the end, war is about survival. And in this land, it's the Dacians who hold the advantage of terrain and local knowledge. As you trudge through the dense forest, you can't help but admire their ability to blend into their environment. They're ghosts in the woods, striking when least expected and disappearing just as quickly. That night, after the fort's construction is completed, you return to the camp, your feet sore, your nerves still frazzled from the long hours of alertness. But the soldiers around you are laughing, joking about the day's work, sharing food and drink. It's strange to think that just hours ago, you were on the brink of a confrontation, and now you're surrounded by the normalcy of camp life. But that's how it is here. In one moment, you're preparing for a battle that could cost you your life, and in the next, you're back in the trenches of everyday soldier life, with nothing to do but wait. You sit by the fire, listening to the laughter, but your thoughts drift back to the Dacians. They're still out there, and you know that tomorrow could be your day, the day you face them again. And when that moment comes, you'll need more than your training, more than your weapons. To survive, you'll need your wits, your strength, and the unity of the legion behind you. The Romans are a force, but the Dacians are warriors, and they fight with the fire of men who have nothing to lose. As you lie back, the crackling of the fire soothing your tired body, you can't help but think about how far you've come since those first days in camp. You're no longer just a recruit. You've become a part of something larger than yourself, a legion of men, bound together by a single purpose. But you know the price of that purpose: the sweat, the blood, and the sacrifices that must be made. The next battle could be your last, but you'll fight it with everything you've got. For the Legion, for Rome, the next morning comes, as it always does, with the sun climbing slowly over the horizon, casting a golden light on the camp. But today, there's a subtle shift in the air. The soldiers move with a kind of tense energy that you haven't seen before. It's almost as if everyone knows something is about to happen, but no one dares speak it aloud. The usual chatter is replaced with hushed voices, the occasional glance toward the perimeter of the camp, the forest that stretches out in every direction. The Dacians are coming. You can feel it in your bones. You gather your gear, your gladius, your shield, your armor more quickly than usual. There's a sharpness to the air today, a prickle of anticipation that makes every movement feel more deliberate. You've been through drills, through skirmishes, through the grinding routine of training, but this is different. This is the real thing. The orders come down swiftly. You're to march out in tight formation, heading toward the Dacian stronghold that's rumored to be just beyond the forest. The Roman engineers have spent weeks building fortifications, but the Dacians are known for their unpredictable tactics, their guerrilla-style warfare, their ambushes, their knowledge of the land. These things give them a significant advantage. The Romans are trying to counter that by expanding their presence, and today you'll be a part of that push. As the Legion prepares to move out, you feel the familiar weight of your armor settle around you, your shield pressing against your left arm as you fall into position with your comrades. The heavy silence of the camp is only broken by the occasional clink of armor and the quiet murmurs of orders being passed down the line. It's an odd moment, something between the calm before the storm and the stillness of a battlefield ready to erupt. The march is long, though not without its share of tension. You pass through the forest once more, where the shadows of the trees seem darker, deeper, more alive than ever before. The Dacians could be anywhere, watching you, waiting for the right moment to strike. You march in silence, eyes scanning the tree line, ears alert to every sound that breaks the quiet. The rhythm of your footsteps becomes almost meditative, a steady march toward what you know will be a confrontation. As the hours tick by, you start to feel a strange sense of calms. You've been through battle before, and while you can't predict what will happen next, you've learned to trust your training. You know what you're capable of now. You can rely on your comrades beside you. This march is different, but you're a part of it, just like every other soldier in the Legion. The first sign of trouble comes suddenly, like a clap of thunder in the distance. There's a sharp shout from the front of the column, followed by the rapid clash of metal. Your heart races as the men around you shift into action. You grip your shield tighter, ready for whatever comes next. The Dacians are here. They've made their move. The formation quickly tightens as the first wave of Dacian warriors rush from the trees. They charge with a speed and ferocity you hadn't expected. Their curved swords slash through the air, their shields raised. But they're not a coordinated army like the Romans. They move like a wild force of nature, their tactics unpredictable and chaotic. The Romans are ready for this, though you hold your formation steady, your shield raised, waiting for the impact. The clash comes fast and hard, with the sound of shields bashing against shields, swords slicing through the air. Your heart is pounding in your chest as you lock eyes with a Dacian warrior a fierce-looking man whose face is painted with war markings. You raise your gladius and prepare for what will certainly be a fight to the death. The world narrows down to the two of you, a brief moment of utter focus as you close the distance. His sword swings, but you parry it with your shield, stepping to the side just in time to avoid his next blow. You strike with your gladius, but he's faster than you anticipated. You're aware of every movement, every breath, the weight of the sword in your hand, the tightness of the shield on your arm. The world around you is a blur of motion as you fight for your life. The Dacians are relentless, but you've been trained for this. You engage in the dance of battle, step for step, thrust for thrust. The adrenaline fills your veins as you push back, your gladius striking with precision, your shield blocking his every move. He's good, you'll give him that, but you're better. With one swift motion, you disarm him, sending his sword crashing to the ground. You don't hesitate, you strike. The fight ends quickly, but not without a sense of weight hanging in the air. You've just killed a Dacian warrior, and while the Romans have won this round, the cost of war is never far from your mind. There's a moment of silence as you catch your breath, your heart still racing. You look around and realize that the battle isn't over yet. The Dacians are still attacking, still pressing in from all sides. As you regroup with your comrades, you find that the Romans have formed their famous testudo once again. The shields are raised in perfect unison, forming a nearly impenetrable wall of defense. The Dacians, though fierce, cannot break through the disciplined ranks of the Roman soldiers. The battle rages on for hours, but slowly the tide turns. The Dacians, unable to break through the Roman formations, begin to retreat. The Romans have weathered the storm. When the last of the Dacians flee into the forest, leaving the battlefield quiet and still, you finally lower your shield. The adrenaline fades, replaced by an eerie sense of exhaustion. You look around at the fallen soldiers, their faces pale, their bodies lifeless, and feel a chill run down your spine. You've survived this battle, but the cost is heavy. The Legion is victorious, but victory comes with a price. As you begin to clean your sword and regroup with your comrades, you can't help but reflect on how this battle, this life, is far from what you imagined. You've fought and won, but at what cost? The world of war is a brutal one, and every day it changes you. The Dacians may have retreated today, but they will return, and so will the next battle. This war is far from over. The aftermath of the battle is a strange mixture of victory and sorrow. The Dacians may have retreated, but the cost of the fight is impossible to ignore. The battlefield is littered with the fallen, the dirt stained with blood, and the air thick with the scent of sweat and smoke. You've seen death before, but never quite like this. The sight of men who once stood beside you, now lying motionless in the dirt, is a sharp reminder of what war truly costs. There's no time to mourn, though the Romans don't have the luxury of grief. You've won the battle, but the war isn't over, and there are more challenges ahead. The sergeants begin barking orders again, as they always do, pushing the men forward, urging them to move on. There's work to be done. You don't have the luxury of stopping. In Var, there's always something to rebuild, something to prepare for. The work of the Roman legion is never finished. As the soldiers gather the fallen, you feel the weight of the moment settle in. Some men are already joking, as they do after every battle, as if to shake off the grim reality of what's just happened. The veteran soldiers know better, though they've seen enough to understand that no matter how much you try to brush it off, the scars of war remain. The laughs, the jokes, they're a mask, a way to cope with the horrors of battle. They won't bring back the dead, and they won't erase the images of bloodied faces or the weight of a sword in your hand. You sit for a moment, catching your breath, before the sergeant approaches. "You've done well," he says. There's no warmth in his voice, no praise. It's just the acknowledgement that you've survived, and that's enough. But there's no room for satisfaction. Not yet. You know better than to get complacent. Every victory is just another step toward the next battle. The Dacians will regroup, and when they do, you'll need to be ready again. The orders come down to return to camp. The troops are to rest, regroup, and rebuild the camp. But as you march back, your thoughts drift to the Dacians. You've seen them fight, and you've seen the strength in their warriors. These people aren't just enemies. They're a proud people with their own ways of life, their own battles, and their own story. And as much as you're determined to crush them, you can't help but feel a deep sense of respect for their resilience. The Roman army may be stronger, more organized, and more disciplined, but the Dacians fight with a fierceness and a passion that you can't help but admire. You've learned that the true cost of war isn't just in blood, it's in the lives torn apart, the lands ravaged, and the cultures forever changed. It's a realization that weighs heavily on your heart, though you know you won't speak it aloud. There's no room for sympathy in a soldier's life. As you return to camp, you begin to notice the wear and tear on the men around you. The veterans move with the same stiff, practiced ease that they've always had, but their eyes are different. Tired, haunted even. The young recruits, like you, are still bright-eyed, but the excitement of battle is fading fast. It's been a long road already, and you know that the hardships will only grow more intense as the war drags on. Back in camp, you return to your duties, cleaning your armor, sharpening your sword, resting when you can, and always staying vigilant. You learn to find comfort in the rhythm of camp life, even though it's only temporary. The soldiers around you settle into their routines, but there's a quiet undercurrent of anxiety that hums through the camp. Everyone knows that the Dacians are never far away. They've retreated for now, but they'll be back, and when they do, you'll be ready. But even as you prepare for the next battle, you can't shake the thought that lingers in your mind. What is this all for? Why are you here? Why does the empire demand so much from its soldiers? The answers are elusive, and you know better than to ask. In the Roman legion, soldiers don't question their purpose. They just fight. But as the days stretch on, you start to realize that the answers aren't going to come easily. The legion is a machine, and its soldiers are the gears that keep it running. There's no room for doubt. You fall into the rhythm of camp life, the days blending together in a haze of sweat, dust, and endless tasks. You're preparing for the next battle, but in the back of your mind, you can't help but think about what happens when the war finally ends. What will become of you, and what will become of the lands you've fought for? The empire is vast, but its soldiers are just men, each one struggling to find his place in it. And yet, you know that no matter what happens, you'll fight. That's what soldiers do. Night falls, and the camp quiets. You lie in your bedroll, staring up at the stars, wondering where the future will take you. You don't know what lies ahead, but you do know this. The war is far from over. The next battle could be tomorrow. next week, or even months from now. But it's coming, and you'll be ready. You've come this far, and there's no turning back now. The days slip into one another in a blur of routine. You march, you drill, you build, you rest, always preparing for the next fight. The sounds of the camp have become familiar now. The rhythmic clatter of soldiers at work, the distant sounds of weapons being sharpened, the crackling of fires as men cook their meager rations. You've learned to live with the discomfort, to sleep despite the clamor around you, and to accept that this, for now, is your life. There are moments when the sheer monotony gets to you. You long for a sense of normalcy, the simplicity of the life you left behind. But then the orders come again, and the routine resets. You fall into line, joining the others in the familiar rhythm of camp life. The fleeting moments of respite seem to slip away as quickly as they arrive. Every soldier here has their own way of coping with the strain of war. Some tell stories of home. Others play games around the fire to ease the tension. The veterans, though, remain quiet, their minds always in battle, even when they're resting. They're the ones who have seen it all, and they don't waste time with idle chatter. There's an air of hard-won wisdom in their silence. They've been to places you can't yet imagine. Then, as if on cue, the orders change. The battle, the one you've been dreading, is finally here. Word spreads quickly through the camp. The Dacians have regrouped, and their warriors are preparing to make their move. The atmosphere in the camp shifts from a strange calm to an electric tension. There are no more idle conversations, no more jokes shared around the fire. Everyone knows what's coming. The orders are clear. You are to march at first light, heading for the heart of the Dacian territory. The fortifications are ready, but you've been told to expect the worst. The Dacians won't make it easy for you. This is their land, their heart, and they will fight to the last man to defend it. You feel a knot tighten in your stomach as you gear up. The armor feels heavier today, the weight of it a constant reminder of the responsibility you carry on your shoulders. You've trained for this moment, but the reality of it is different. It's not about honor. It's not about glory. It's about survival. The march begins as the first rays of dawn cut through the trees. You fall into step with the others, the weight of your shield and armor now a familiar burden. The sound of boots against the earth becomes a steady rhythm, like the beating of a drum, signaling the march toward whatever fate awaits you. The familiar sounds of camp life fade behind you, replaced by the rustle of leaves, the distant calls of birds, and the occasional shout from the sergeants as they keep the ranks in line. You're no longer thinking about the long road ahead. Your mind is focused entirely on what comes next. The battle. It's not the first time you've fought, but there's something different about today. You can feel it in the air. The Dacians are waiting, and you'll have to fight harder than ever to push them back. The Romans are better organized, more disciplined, but the Dacians are no less determined. As you draw closer to the heart of Dacia, you begin to see the telltale signs of their presence. The land is more rugged, the terrain harsher, and the air feels thick with the scent of the forest. The Dacians know the land well. They've made it their home, and they use it to their advantage. The Romans, despite their might, will always be at a disadvantage in these forests. They are too used to open fields and well-organized battle formations. The Dacians thrive in the wild. As the sun sets, you arrive at a hilltop overlooking a valley. The terrain ahead is uneven, covered with dense trees, and the perfect place for an ambush. The tension in the camp is palpable. You're close now. The Dacians could attack at any moment, and every soldier here knows it. The veterans exchange quiet words, their faces tense with the anticipation of the coming fight. For a moment, it feels like everything has slowed down. You can hear your own heartbeat in your ears, and the world around you fades as you prepare for what's to come. Then, just as the last light of day fades, the silence is broken. The distant howl of a horn, loud and unmistakable, echoes through the trees. The Dacians have arrived. It's not the thunderous charge you expected. Not at first. The Dacians move like shadows through the trees, their forms barely visible in the fading light. There's no order, no formation, just a mass of warriors, each one intent on killing or being killed. They move in quick, erratic bursts, a wave of chaos descending upon the Roman lines. The first wave of Dacians crashes into the Roman ranks with terrifying speed. The air is filled with the clash of metal, the screams of men in pain, and the pounding of feet as soldiers scramble to regroup. The testudo formation goes up immediately, shields raised, protecting the soldiers from the onslaught of arrows and javelins. You hold your shield high, your sword ready, but you can't help but feel the weight of it all. This isn't just training. This is real. This is war. The battle is wild and unpredictable. The Dacians use their knowledge of the land to their advantage, appearing from the trees and attacking in waves, retreating just as quickly. The Romans are forced to adapt, changing their formation with every new attack. The confusion of the battle, the endless assault, is enough to make your head spin, but you stay focused. You know your role. You know your training. In the thick of the battle, the world narrows. There's only the sound of your breathing, the pounding of your heart, and the flash of steel as you fight for your life. A Dacian charges toward you, his sword raised high, but you step forward, meeting him head on. The clash of your swords is sharp, and for a split second, everything goes still. But you strike first, your gladius cutting through the air, landing a blow that sends the Dacian falling to the ground. It's over quickly. There's no time to savor the victory, though another Dacian appears, then another, and another. The battle continues, wave after wave, each one testing your limits. The fear, the exhaustion, the pain, all of it begins to blend together until there's only the fight. You don't know how much time has passed. You don't know how many Dacians you've fought. You just keep going, because that's what soldiers do. Finally, as the night wears on, the Dacians begin to retreat. They fall back into the trees, disappearing into the forest as quickly as they came. The Romans stand their ground, bloodied but victorious once again. You've survived another battle, but the price is heavy. The air is thick with smoke and the scent of sweat, and the battlefield is silent except for the groans of the wounded and the distant cries of the fallen. As you catch your breath and look around at the men who fought beside you, you realize that this war isn't just about the battles. It's about the endurance to keep going, no matter the cost. Tomorrow, there will be more to do, but tonight, there's just the quiet aftermath of war. The night after the battle settles into a strange quiet. The moon is high in the sky, casting pale light over the field of soldiers who survived the fight. The camp is filled with a mix of exhaustion and adrenaline, men still tense, their eyes scanning the shadows as if expecting another ambush at any moment. You, however, can't shake the feeling of weariness that settled into your bones. It's not just physical exhaustion. though that's part of it. It's the weight of the battle itself, the toll it's taken on you, on all of you. The Roman legions might be formidable, but there's only so much a soldier can endure before the strain begins to show. You fall into your bedroll, your body aching, and close your eyes, trying to sleep despite the noise around you, the sounds of men tending to the wounded, of fires crackling, of whispers shared over the remnants of the meal. It all feels distant, like you're floating just outside the reach of reality. But even with your eyes closed, the battle still plays in your mind. The flash of swords, the roar of the Dacians, the moment you took a life. It's not something you can push away easily. The haunting images are there, lingering just beneath the surface, and sleep doesn't come as easily as you'd like. Still, you drift into a restless sleep, your dreams filled with the sounds of battle, of men falling, of the rhythmic march of Roman soldiers. But when you finally wake, it's to the smell of burning wood and the sound of orders being shouted across the camp. The night is over, and the legion is preparing to move again. The Dacians might have retreated for now, but this isn't over. You've learned that nothing in war is ever truly over. The battle might have been won, but the war stretches on, endless, unforgiving. You roll over and slowly rise, your body groaning in protest. The sun is barely beginning to rise, casting a soft light over the battlefield. You glance around, taking in the quiet, the eerie stillness of the aftermath. Men are cleaning their weapons, checking their gear, readying themselves for whatever comes next. The dead are being gathered, their bodies moved with the solemn respect due to those who fought bravely. You know that some of them were just like you young men who had no idea what they were signing up for when they first entered the Legion. But they won't be going home now. The sergeants move through the camp, barking orders, pushing the men to move faster, to prepare for the next phase. The veterans, their faces lined with the wear of countless battles, don't speak much. They're too used to this, too used to the cycle of war, of moving from one battle to the next, with no time for rest, no time for reflection. But you, the younger soldiers, still carry the weight of the battles on your shoulders. The reality of war hasn't yet become your second skin. It still feels fresh, still feels like something that will consume you if you let it. As you begin your morning tasks, checking your gear, ensuring your sword is sharp and your shield intact, you can't help but think back on everything you've learned so far. The training, the battles, the camaraderie. You've changed. You've become something different than the young man who first stepped into the Roman legion. You're tougher, yes, but you're also a little harder. You've seen too much now, felt too much. And while the training has made you a soldier, it's the battles, the ones where you face death in the eye, that shape you into a true legionary. There's a moment of calm amidst the chaos, a moment where you find yourself standing alone, looking out over the battlefield. The sky is clear now, the haze of smoke and the smell of blood fading into the background. The Dacians are gone, but you know they'll be back. The Romans will keep pushing, but so will the Dacians. It's the nature of war, never ending, ever changing, and unforgiving. You're just a piece of the machine, a small cog in a much larger wheel, and in the end, that's all you can be. The day moves quickly. There's little time to think about anything other than the next task, the next march, the next battle. You don't have the luxury of looking too far ahead, not when your life is in constant flux. The orders come down to move again this time, deeper into Dacia, The empire won't stop. The Roman legions won't stop. And you can't stop either. The march begins as the sun climbs higher in the sky. You fall into line with the others, your feet heavy, but your spirit steeled. The weight of your armor, of your sword, of your shield is familiar now. It's part of you. The Roman formation moves as one, the sound of boots hitting the ground in perfect unison. There's a rhythm to it, a pulse that beats through the whole of the legion. It's strange how quickly it becomes second nature, the endless marching, the drilling, the preparation for battle. You've learned to rely on it, to find comfort in the structure, even though you know it's not the kind of comfort that will bring peace. And as you march, your thoughts once again turn to the Dacians. Their warriors are fierce. You've seen them fight. They're unpredictable, wield, but they're not stupid. They won't make this easy. But the Romans are here to stay. The empire won't give up. And so, you keep marching, step by step, the familiar weight of your gear pressing against you, your mind focused on the task at hand, one foot in front of the other, and you move toward the next battle. It's a strange thing to be a soldier. There are moments when you feel invincible, like you could conquer anything. And then there are moments like this, when you feel small, insignificant in the face of it all. The empire is vast, and you're just one soldier among thousands. But somehow, in the midst of it all, you've found a place. You've found your purpose. And no matter what happens next, you know that you'll keep marching. The days roll on as the march continues. The same rhythmic pace of boots on the earth. The same tightening of your muscles as the weight of your armor presses down on you. The routine is exhausting, but it's become familiar, a strange sort of comfort in the monotony. As you march through dense forests, across barren hills, and into unfamiliar territories, you start to realize how far you've come since those first days of training. Back then, the weight of your sword felt foreign. The clang of your armor felt like an unshakable burden. Now, it's just a part of you. You're no longer thinking about the strain. It's just something you carry with you, like a part of your very being. The journey to Dacia has been long, but today, there's a sense of urgency in the air. The usual rhythm of the march is interrupted by quick, sharp commands from the officers. There's talk of fortifying positions and preparing for an attack. The Dacians, though elusive, are not far away. You can feel it in the air, an electric tension that runs through the entire legion. They could strike at any moment, and everyone knows it. You're given orders to help reinforce the defenses of the camp. It's a quiet but important task. The fortifications are strong, but it's the small details that matter. Each brick you lay, each piece of wood you hammer into place, is one more layer of defense. The Romans are masters at fortifying their camps. You're reminded of the work of the engineers back at the base, their skill at building roads, bridges, and forts has been one of the reasons the empire is so successful. Every stone and timber is a sign of Roman power, a signal that they're here to stay, no matter what the Dacians throw at them. As the day wears on, the reality of the situation sets in. You've built your defenses. Your position is secure for now, but the enemy is out there, watching, waiting. The Dacians know these lands better than you ever will. The Roman strategy is one of brute force, overwhelming numbers, and unparalleled discipline, but there's a wildness to the Dacians that makes them unpredictable. That's the true danger. The battle won't be won just with strength. It will be won with patience. Every Roman soldier knows this. It's about enduring. about wearing down the enemy with steady, relentless force. It's about discipline over chaos. But even as you reinforce the walls of the fort, you can't help but feel that nagging doubt. How long will this last? How long before the Dacians find a way to break through? That night, the tension only grows. The usual camp activities, cleaning, resting, eating, seem far quieter than normal. The fires crackle, but the laughter of the men is less frequent, the jokes forced. The veterans sit in their usual quiet circles, speaking in low tones about past battles, but their voices have a weight to them tonight. They know what's coming. The Dacians are readying themselves for one final push. You can feel it in the air, thick with the tension of something about to snap. As you lie back in your bedroll, you listen to the quiet murmur of the camp around you. The world seems to stretch out, infinite and silent. The Dacians are coming, yes, but what else is out there? What else awaits you in this strange, wild land? You think about your journey so far, about the man you were when you first enlisted, eager, innocent, unsure of the weight of war. And then you think of the man you are now, hardened, battle-worn, and part of something far larger than yourself. Your eyes wander up to the stars. You don't know how many battles you have left in you. You don't know how many days you'll still be marching. The Roman legion is vast, but you are small, a single soldier in an empire that stretches across the known world. The future is uncertain. The battle ahead could change everything, or it could be just another day in a long war that stretches on endlessly. But for now, you close your eyes. Sleep comes, not because you're unafraid, but because you know that rest is the only thing you can control in this moment. The battle will come when it comes, but tonight, you can't do anything about it. And as sleep starts to pull you under, you remind yourself of one thing. The Roman army is unstoppable. You will fight. You will survive. And tomorrow, you'll march forward again, ready for whatever comes next. The next morning, the sun rises as it always does, casting its first light over the camp with a soft, golden hue. But today, the air is different. There's an ominous feeling that you can't shake, a weight in your chest as you rise from your bedroll, still feeling the remnants of last night's unease. The camp is stirring with unusual energy. The men are moving more quickly, with urgency in their steps, as if they can feel the storm building just beyond the horizon. The Dacians are out there, and today they're coming for you. The air is thick with anticipation as the officers begin shouting commands, urging the soldiers into action. Today is not like any other day. The Dacians are no longer lurking in the distance, they're closing in. The Roman camp is bustling with activity as soldiers prepare for what is sure to be the battle that will determine the course of this campaign. You can hear the distinct sounds of armor clanking, weapons being tested, and the steady rhythm of marching boots as the legion prepares to move into position. Your stomach tightens. The same routine you've followed for weeks is still in place. Gather your gear, check your sword, adjust your shield, but it feels different today. There's an undeniable tension in the air that makes every movement feel more deliberate. The usual sounds of campmen talking, laughing, or calling to one another are gone. In their place, there's only the sharp sound of boots on dirt and the quiet murmurs of soldiers preparing for the unknown. The weather has shifted too. The skies, once clear and bright, are now overcast, heavy clouds hanging low in the skies. You can't help but feel the heaviness of it all. The Dacians have been quiet for too long. The peace, if you could even call it that, has been a tense one, filled with the underlying knowledge that they're waiting, watching, preparing. The orders come. The Roman legion will move out in full formation. The fortifications are complete, but that won't matter once the battle begins. It's a strange feeling to be so sure of your survival one moment and uncertain the next. You've survived skirmishes, small engagements, and even your first real battle. But this feels different. This is the big one, the one that will define your place in the Legion. The march is steady, but the silence between the soldiers is palpable. No one speaks. Everyone's focused, eyes scanning the trees, the terrain, the horizon. The Dacians could appear at any moment, and when they do, it will be fast, chaotic. The Romans are ready, but the question is, will the Dacians be ready? As you march through the woods, the feeling of uncertainty grows. The trees stretch out above you, casting long shadows that seem to shift with every gust of wind. The dense forest is both a shield and a trap. The Dacians know it better than anyone. They are masters of this land, able to move through it like phantoms. You can't see them, but you know they're out there. You can feel their eyes on you, waiting for the right moment. You pass through narrow paths, over rocky terrain, and across small streams, each step heavier than the last. You feel the weight of the armor, the shield, the sword, all of it pressing on you like a constant reminder of what you've become, a soldier, a weapon of the Roman Empire. It's not glamorous, it's not heroic, and it's certainly not easy. It's just survival. You can't afford to think about anything else. After what feels like an eternity, the orders come to halt. There's a stillness in the air that's almost suffocating. The legion forms into position, shields raised, weapons ready. You feel a knot tighten in your stomach as you fall into formation with your comrades, each man lining up in perfect unison, each shield raised to form the iconic Roman wall. You glance to your left and right, meeting the eyes of the men beside you. Some of them are veterans, their faces stern and worn from years of combat. Some are like you, still fresh, still learning, but all of you are united in this moment. You will fight as one. You will survive as one. The Dacians are coming. You can feel it. There's a quiet before the storm, a hush that settles over the legion as everyone waits, breath held. You hear the faintest rustling in the distance. It could be the wind. It could be the Dacians moving through the forest. Every soldier is tense, on edge, anticipating what comes next. And then it comes. The first wave of Dacians appears, charging out of the forest, their cries echoing through the trees. The battle begins with a rush, a blur of motion, the clash of metal against metal, the shrill cries of men in combat. The Dacians are fast, their bodies nimble, darting between trees, using the terrain to their advantage. But the Romans are disciplined. You hold the line, your shield raised, your feet planted firmly in the earth. The Dacians may be fierce, but the Romans are relentless. The initial wave hits hard, and the force of it is almost overwhelming. But you've been trained for this. You hold your position, pushing forward with the legion. The testudo formation is a wall of shields, impenetrable. The Dacians charge against it, their swords striking the shields, but they can't break through. The Romans are a machine, each man moving as one, each strike precise, each movement timed perfectly. You fight with everything you've got. Your gladius feels like an extension of your own body as you strike, defend, and retreat in perfect rhythm. The chaos of battle is everywhere. The sound of men shouting, the clang of metal, the rush of adrenaline. But amidst the chaos, you feel a strange calm. You are a part of something larger than yourself. The battle is not about individual glory. It's about survival. It's about the Legion. Hours pass, though it feels like mere minutes. The Dacians are relentless, their waves of attacks coming one after another. But the Romans stand firm. The testudo holds, the line holds, and as the sun begins to set, you see the Dacians faltering. They retreat into the forest, their spirits broken for now. The Romans have held their ground, but the cost of that victory is evident. The battlefield is littered with the bodies of both sides. The air is thick with the scent of death. You stand there, your sword raised, your body drenched in sweat and blood, and for a moment, you can't help but wonder if it was all worth it. The war is far from over. The Dacians will regroup. The Romans will march again. But tonight, for this moment, you've won and you've survived. The aftermath of the battle leaves a quiet, eerie sort of stillness in its wake. The Dacians have retreated, but at what cost? The forest around you is filled with the remnants of the fight-broken weapons, discarded armor, and the lifeless bodies of men who fought for their lives just hours ago. The air is heavy, thick with smoke and the stench of blood. It's a stark contrast to the adrenaline-fueled chaos of battle just moments ago. The soldiers, exhausted and covered in dirt and grime, move quietly, tending to the wounded and collecting the dead. It's a somber task, one that reminds you of the brutal reality of war, the aftermath that comes when the noise of battle fades. You stand among the ruins of the skirmish, your gladius still gripped in your hand, though it feels foreign now. The familiar weight of the sword that you once trained with is now just a reminder of what you've become. A soldier, a killer. The thought is chilling, but it's the truth. You've crossed a line, one you can never uncross, and yet, in this moment, there's no time for reflection. There's no time to think about what it all means. The war rages on, and the Roman legion marches forward. The command is given to collect the wounded and prepare for the return to camp. It's a grueling process, one that demands every soldier's attention. The wounded are laid on stretchers, the cries of pain echoing through the camp. A stark reminder of the cost of war. You help where you can, lifting men who are too injured to walk. But it's not enough. No matter how hard you try, it never feels like enough. As you work, the weight of the day begins to sink in. The fatigue in your body is unlike anything you've felt before. The long marches, the battles, the constant vigilance, it all adds up. And the night, though peaceful now, feels far too quiet after the chaos of the day. You sit by the fire, your shield beside you, your helmet resting on the ground, and you allow yourself a moment of peace, even if it's only for a brief second. The veterans are talking softly, sharing stories of battles they've fought, of lands they've conquered. Their voices are low and steady, as though they've seen so much that words no longer seem to carry the same weight. They speak of the wars they fought in, the lands they've marched across, and the soldiers they've lost. The toll of war is written in their eyes, in the lines of their faces, in the quiet way they speak. You can't help but wonder how long it will take before you start sounding like them. You're tired, but there's no time for rest. Not yet. The soldiers are beginning to move, gathering their things, preparing to march once more. The Dacians have retreated, but they will come again. The Romans can't stop, they can't afford to. The empire's expansion doesn't wait for the men who fight for it. It pushes forward. Relentlessly, the order comes to pack up. The march continues. You pick up your shield and helmet, the weight of them familiar again, and you fall into line with the rest of the soldiers. You've been through a lot, but you're not done yet. The war isn't over. The Dacians will regroup. The Romans will advance. It's a cycle that never ends. But for now, you focus on the march, the rhythmic beat of your boots on the earth, the weight of your gear, and the simple act of survival as you move forward with your fellow soldiers. You can't help but think about the long road ahead. The war is far from over, and though you've survived this battle, you know that there will be more to come. There will always be more. The Romans never stop. The empire doesn't rest. But for now, there's a sense of quiet between the soldiers. You move in unison, the sound of the march steady, your thoughts focused on what lies ahead. You think about the comrades beside you, the bond that has been forged in the fires of battle, and you realize that, in this moment, this is all you know. The Roman legion, the march, the war, it's your life now. There's no going back. There's only forward. And so, the march continues. The Roman legions push onward, their steps in perfect sync, moving toward whatever comes next. The Dacians will fight, but the Romans will fight harder. The war will go on, and the men will keep marching. Each step, each battle, is another step toward the future, another day in the life of a soldier. The end is not yet in sight, but you are ready. You will survive, and you will fight. The next day arrives with a grim sense of duty. The soldiers move as one. The usual hum of activity in the camp now replaced by a deep, almost unnatural stillness. The fatigue from the previous battle lingers like a fog in the air. And though the sun rises, just as it always does, its light feels more distant today. You've grown used to the relentless pace, to the ever-looming presence of danger. But there's something about this particular day that unsettles you. It's as if everyone knows the war isn't just about conquering lands or defeating enemies. It's about endurance. The Romans will keep pushing forward. Yes, but at what cost? The Dacians have retreated, but the feeling in the camp is that it's only temporary. They'll regroup. They'll strike again. There's a deep understanding among the soldiers here that survival is not just about victory, it's about persistence. And that, you realize, is the hardest part of being a soldier. It's not about one glorious victory or even the epic battles. It's about the long, grueling march forward, day after day, without knowing what comes next. You fall into line once more, your shield on your arm, your gladius at your side. You move through the camp like a cog in a machine, every step automatic. The usual preparations for the day unfold around you, checks of armor, sharpening of weapons, and the quiet conversations between soldiers. But today, the words seem hollow. It's the same routine, the same process. But today, you don't feel like you're just a soldier. You feel like a part of something much larger, something that stretches far beyond you. The march begins. The earth beneath your boots is familiar, each step in rhythm with the others. The distant murmur of soldiers behind you, there's a sense of unity in it, a comfort in knowing you're not alone. But the more you march, the heavier the weight becomes. It's not the armor, it's not the gear, it's the weight of it, all the weight of the war, the weight of the empire, the weight of the lives lost, the lives still to be lost. You look around at your fellow soldiers, and though their faces are stern, You know that every one of them is carrying the same burden. As you march, you can't help but think of the Dacians. You fought them yesterday, but you know that tomorrow will bring another fight. The Dacians may retreat, but they are relentless. They are proud, fierce, and they fight for their home. You think about the warriors you faced, their painted faces, their wild energy, and you wonder if they, too, feel the weight of the war. Do they, too, think about survival? Or is it just the Romans who carry that burden? The march continues, the land stretching out before you like an endless desert. You feel a weariness in your bones, but you push it aside. The Romans don't stop. The march is constant. The soldiers around you are the same as they've always been: tough, disciplined, unwavering. The Empire is counting on you. The Empire is counting on all of you. You know it, and you carry it with you. Each step forward, another act of survival. After hours of marching, you finally stop for the night. The camp is quiet, the crackling of the fires, the only sound breaking the stillness. You lie down on your bedroll, your thoughts wandering as you stare up at the stars. The sky, a vast expanse above you. You try to sleep, but your mind is too full of everything that's happened: the battles, the victories, the losses. You think about the men who fought beside you, the comrades you've lost, and the ones still with you. The bonds you formed in the heat of battle are unspoken but strong. The war is far from over. You know it. The Dacians know it. The Romans know it. You lie in the darkness, and for the first time in a long while, you allow yourself to wonder what the end of this war will look like. Will it ever end? Will there ever be a moment of peace? Or will it always be this endless marches, endless battles, endless fighting? Eventually, you drift off into a restless sleep, the sounds of the camp around you fading into the background. But even as you sleep, the weight of tomorrow's march looms large in your mind. The war won't stop. It can't stop. Not until the Dacians are defeated. Not until the Empire has conquered all. The war is an endless cycle, and you are just a soldier in it. But somehow, you've found a way to keep going. You've found a way to endure. End of script. Sweet dreams.